Hello and welcome to Contra Republic. Nation came up with it, so I'm not gonna try and pronounce the name. Hold on, I gotta make sure we're actually live because I always do this thing where we say we're live and oh no, now we're actually live. Now I just sound stupid. Okay, welcome to the world's greatest monarchist live show, and where the host is the most unenthusiastic person depending on his mood. I'm joined by Nation. And I don't know where Matthias is. I don't think he got like when we were doing it, which is usually at 6, but we had to do it at 4 because someone canceled me and had to reschedule something at 5:30, and then I thing. So Nation, what you been up to?
Same old, same old. I guess my biggest kind of thing is that I'm switching to Linux, so I'm kind of trying to learn the terminal and everything, and you know, it's not too bad.
You're gonna be one of those guys who.
Well, I pretty early on decided I wasn't going to upgrade to Windows 11, and for a lot of reasons. But
Uh, you know, Nation, you can't use Linux because you're married, and Linux is for basement dwelling virgins who don't leave their parents' basement, who are the world's greatest coders, though.
well, you could say that I'm spiritually a basement dwelling virgin. When I was in like elementary school, I'd read computer books and all these kinds of things,
And then you went to school for political science.
and history. Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? Like I think for me, like you know how some guys are really into cars, like sports cars or muscle cars or whatever. Like that's kind of like their big kind of hobby.
Yeah.
I think for me, that's what kind of like computers were and kind of still are. And I mean, even though like I don't know, I like to keep up with like chronological trends and everything, and I still game, a bit every now and then, and I like to have a
See,
decent
Nation,
system.
Nation, you should have went to college for something that's going to make you money, not for political science.
Well, I mean, what good would all the money in the world do someone like me? I mean, yes, it would make certain things easier,
Uh,
but
you could spend it to avoid the consequences of a terrible immigration policy. But then you'd also have to be around those types of people.
well, I mean, I guess for me, it's like yes, even though my degrees haven't really amounted to much financially as of yet, I still do believe they can lead to something, in the immediate future, a bit later. But again, like just that
But if you
experience
did a
of learning how
podcast
to.
with someone who wasn't legitimately crazy and constantly deleted shit, yeah, we'd probably be making money. But the also issue with that, Nation, is that most of us, Matthias included, don't have a price on pushing propaganda for one side or the other. So Theo won't. I would legitimately tell Theo to shove it, and as well as the Russians to shove it.
Well, as I said, like for me, my time at school kind of gave me the time to pursue the things that interested me, right? So it was basically a way to be productive while I had a lot of free time, and like it contributed a lot to my writing and my on my website and everything. So I don't know, like it's not wasted. It might not have yielded financial
Sure.
benefits yet, but well, look, I do well. I
So,
get views every day. Some days are better than others, but like my
Nation, no one reads articles.
Well, there are people who do, and there are people who comment and who will message me on Gab and such. And I've had interviews with people who've read my article. So I mean, I'm not,
To
I
be
mean,
to be fair, that's how you got this job. That doesn't pay anything.
sure, but I
You
mean,
just
it's still all. I mean, I'm sure it's making a positive difference in one way or another. I mean,
maybe Nation, but that's the whole problem, though, isn't it? Like when you're ideologically consistent, you're not pushing some sort of fad ideology. You don't really get. No one really wants to hang out with you or fund you because
well, that's what I always lament with like my writing, right? Because you can have someone who say, orthodox and who likes all the orthodox theological work I've done or comments I've made, right? But then they go to the political stuff and they're completely like taken aback by that, right? So it's like if I just kind of stuck with like one particular subject or interest, I mean, I could probably do well. But the far right, neo-pagans are going to hate the Christianity stuff. The Christians are going to hate the sort of, study on like right politics and National Socialism and everything. So it's like, okay, well, it's hard to kind of gain an audience unless that audience is exactly like me in every way. But that's fine. Like, I believe in the truth, and I don't know. People will come around. Maybe
if you were writing in Russian, it would be more, probably be easier.
Well, I've had one of my articles translated into Greek. They just copied it wholesale and translated it, and it's there. And they linked back to me, so it wasn't like a theft thing. And if someone did like take an article and didn't give me credit, I'm not really going to be too bent out of shape about it. All I care about is getting my material out there. So credit's nice, but it's not why I do what I do. So
well, I feel like a lot of people on the far right have been stealing my ideas. It's like, oh, this guy's not that popular. We're stealing his ideas. I'm like, screw you.
Well, you know what? And there was a time, like a year or so, I heard certain like Orthodox commentators bring up points I would mention. I was like, oh, I wonder if they like read my material. But again, the problem is, even if they had, they couldn't like link back to me or admit they read my material, because that would kind of serve as a tacit recommendation. No, because if you're trying to like, no, I'm not going to go that far. But it's
the truth, nation. It's the truth. Like, it's so many people on the far right are like, oh, well, I actually support nationalism for everyone. It's like, I don't support nationalism for anybody besides white people. If your nation is too weak to fend off an invasion, it shouldn't exist.
Well, that's neither here nor there. Anyways, the point is, it's just that like if someone were to like reference me or promote me, then they would kind of serve as a tacit acceptance of everything I put forward, and very few people are in a position to do that. So I mean, even Dr. Matthew Raphael Johnson, right? He, like, because we align on quite a few things, and I've used his work in the past. But even if he were to like recommend me or give me kind of a shout out, well, he's a true Orthodox guy, and that might be seen as kind of too So, anyways, I don't know. It's pretty lonely.
Why I'm not called the Orthodox nationalist? Because Raphael Johnson, I was looking, he's like, damn it, he already took that one. That name was.
He's had it for a while. Like he's he's like old, like really old school. I think 2010s. Like, anyways, but good for him. Like he's been fairly consistent in his videos he's been doing with Pete Quinones on 200 Years Together has been rather elucidating. So
I definitely think Pete Quinones at one point was supposed to be on the show, but I never followed up.
Oof. Well, I actually sent him a copy of my books.
Yeah.
I emailed him and I said, hey, do you want my written material? And I was like, sure. And I mailed it to him. And I've actually talked to him once or twice on X or whatever.
See, the only person I talked to on X is Basil, and we're mainly just gossiping about people on the far right because he's the only right-wing homosexual I know.
Oof.
But it is fun. It is fun to gossip about people.
I had a bit of free time today. I was watching sort of this this YouTube video by a guy. He was doing like a history of certain like gaming communities and the horror side. I found he was gay, and I was like, well, I'm going to unsubscribe, block your channel, and dislike your video. I have no time for that. There was this guy, or yeah, it was a guy. I don't know. It's hard when they go all tranny. I get like it throws my mind for a loop, right? But there was this guy, and he did these videos on like Pathologic, right, the video game series, and excellent videos. Like, and it was fantastic videos. And then he like started pruning out, and then some of his later videos were like, I was like, oh, this game's about Sane. Now Sane was the guy. I'm like, okay, yeah, no, you're excised from my list. So,
well, as a proud autistic nationalist, my people are being genocided by the training menace.
The autists?
Yeah, they really are. They the whole thing is with like autism isn't real. It's just trying to pathologize people who should be philosophers rather than these people with these academics with their gay suits.
I agree. I do believe that. I mean, again, there's some people like say Christian who definitely are like mentally ill and should be
No,
locked away.
no, no, no.
But like,
No. I think he's generally possessed by a demon. I think Sanchu is a real demon.
no, yeah, and I kind of concur. I mean, I don't think he was possessed since like, excuse me, since his adolescence. But yeah, no, I think that's definitely he has some kind
Yeah.
of yeah, he has a dark aura about him. Like
Well, no, he summoned a Sumerian demon, and it's manifested into the world, and now it manifests through the Sonichu medallions, and I would never even touch one of those.
no, I've never wear one. Like if you hate someone, I guess then you'd send them the medallion. But no, it's got a bad mojo to it. I concur.
I mean, yeah. But the whole thing is that with just random ramblings. But the thing is, like, our politics are nowhere where they could be bought because there's not really any benefit to anybody, any real group of people with power or money or influence to agree with us. Like, what do you? We don't. I don't support free market capitalism. I don't support predatory business practices. I support massive labor rights of labor. Like, there's no benefit to plutocrats like Musk, Thiel to push
Well,
people like myself to the forefront.
I mean, as I've more or less always maintained, like the material and it's not to be all like high and mighty. I don't think I'm like some special like like I'm not trying to give myself a like present myself as being overly important or whatnot. But I always thought that my kind of written material, it's not necessarily for like this current political epoch, and it's my hope that kind of my material is. Can you hear that by the way? Sorry.
Nation,
I'm
stop it with the fake like.
yeah, sure.
God.
Hold down the fort for 2 seconds. Hold that thought. I'm gonna try to instill silence and it's just 1 second.
See, Nation keeps trying to pretend that he's like a married man with children. We all know there's no married men on the right in America. It's all just about as the great philosopher King Nick Fuentes says, having sex with women is gay. I don't know how that's pushing right wing politics forward, but I'm actually not crazy, and well, I am crazy, but apparently not that crazy because that doesn't make any sense to me. But that's what the right's talking about, and also other not political nonsense.
Anyway, so I'm back. So yeah, as I was saying, it's sort of like for my material, like I just hope it has some staying power, and that it can be of use, not even influential, but be of use for those who come after us. Be that in like 10 years, 15 years, 200 years. Like, that's kind of like my intention. That's not to say that I see myself as like a prophet or anything kind of like that. I don't like I don't attribute to importance or anything to myself that way, but it's just kind of that kind of mentality.
No,
So
Nation. I feel like everyone watching this podcast is going to be inspired. That Barron Trump watches this podcast. I've been told by the voices have told me that.
the Sonichu voices.
Nah, just I've been communing with the Cali. I don't know, so I can't make any jokes about like retarded esoteric Hitlerism.
The spirit of Savitri Davi came to you in a dream and told you.
Yeah, exactly. So you've been reading any books, or just you continue reading the Warhammer stuff?
I'm reading Reflections of a Russian Statesman. I haven't gone too far into it yet because I haven't had.
Isn't that Ivan Ilyin, or was that?
No. It's I forget his name. But it's interesting. He was the author was a tutor to the Tsar, and he was
Oh,
also.
I think I have that book. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, well, I have sort of a version from the 70s, and I think Imperium Press printed a modern version.
Don't give any money to Imperium Press. They're funded by Thiel, and they're pro tranny. Well, maybe that's Pasha's. No, sorry, that's Pasha's Press. There's too many right wing book publishers that are just funded by weirdos.
Imperium Press seems good. I'm curious to look into their biography on Bowden, done by Dr. Dunn. And well, no, I like Imperium. I like Arctos. They produce some good stuff.
Oh no, those are
Antelope Hill is good. And
no.
what's the other one? There's also another one.
Hidden Nation Press. That's mainly they do a lot of like Rockwell's work.
Okay, and Black House is good too, but I haven't seen anything by them for a while. Like the best thing they produced, in my view, was well, Cadran is for my Legionaries, but they also did Canada in Decay, which is by Ricardo Deschanel, and that's also a good book.
Nation, I should write a book.
Ricardo Deschanel is basically what Jordan Peterson should have been. He's a an exiled Canadian academic, but he's like he's into like he understands the ethnic situation. He's pretty based.
Well, yeah, because Peterson is a literal UN ideological plant.
Sure, no, and I know that.
And I generally hope he dies of a drug overdose. That's actually how I met my best friend. I was at an Orthodox church at the coffee hour, and I said Jordan Peterson is a fake Christian who should eat the end of a rifle.
He's not even a Christian. I mean, he's like this weird philosophical Christian, or this is how he presents himself as, where he's like, oh yeah, like he morally aligns himself with sort of like popular Christianity, if that makes sense, like the popular conception of it. But I don't really think I don't think he's interested, because if he had to be Christian or if he had to be Orthodox, he'd have to make sacrifices in his life. And
look, his daughter's a whore who had sex with Andrew Tate.
With Tate, really?
Yeah, so did Lauren Southern.
With Tate, really?
Yep.
I knew she went with Destiny, and that's horrific.
Oh yeah, but yeah, this is why I don't trust unmarried women on the right, and I don't listen to them. Unless you're married, I don't give a shit about your opinion.
I like Velocicat. She's all right. I mean, she kind of delves into the more esoteric stuff, which I'm not, like not that super into, obviously. But she's done some good work on Evola, and she's actually she did the audiobook for Evola's on Eros and the Mysteries of Love, and I'm looking forward to listening to that. So, no, but I recommend her. Again, she's a deep thinker. She's not like one of these dolled up figures that just regurgitate right-wing talking points for clicks and money. So
yeah, well, they all do. I mean, here's the whole thing: is like I've made the joke to one of my attractive female friends who is
You have those?
Yeah. Yes, I have female friends.
I'm kidding. Because I'm in classes right now, and it's only men because it's plumbing, and most of them are Middle Eastern, so it's a interesting experience. Neither here nor there. Go on.
Yeah, but like, and he's like, I'm having a hard time. Mark's like, hey, you want it? It's like 50-50 split. I'll give you like a list of talking points. I'll write scripts for you. You just say these things in front of a camera. Like, that would work. It's like, absolutely would work. You want to do left wing, right wing, center? I could do all of it.
Anything for that dollar, right?
Look, the whole thing is if you're an attractive woman or if you're a minority, just memorize far left to far right talking points and just repeat them into a camera.
Just get the beta orbiters in The Sims.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I take the Phyllis Schlafly approach to like women in politics. See, Phyllis Schlafly said something I would never repeat, or it's something I don't believe in. She said something that's more extreme than the manosphere. She said that you cannot rape your wife because if you're married, consent is always inferred.
Wow. Wait, who is this woman? This particular woman?
She was a very prominent female conservative in the 80s and 90s and responsible for throwing the gays back in the closet for 30 years.
Okay, interesting. Like, I don't know. It's just sort of like the problem is, right, like the whole marital rape.
Well, no,
like,
the point I'm making.
No. Well, I get the point. But it's yeah. Sorry, go on.
The point I'm making is like I'm not going to take I don't need a woman. If a woman is just repeating what I'm saying back to me, that's not really that interesting. But if you're willing to step to my right, as a woman,
no. One thing I will say, right, because and I was thinking about this somewhat recently. Like, women are kind of the standard bearers of like popular culture, regular culture, popular discourse, right? So, like, even though there's nothing we can really learn from most women, let's just put it that way, right? I mean, well, like if Savitri Devi was still walking around, I'm sure we could learn quite a bit. But like when you have like these kind of women influencers regurgitate our points or bring up things about ethno-nationalism or the JQ or whatever it might be, they do serve to like normalize and move the Overton window just a little bit because our because someone's more willing to listen to a woman present these points than like someone like you or me. So there is a degree to where there is like merit to that, but it's not us. We're not that audience for them.
All I'm hearing is I need like $30 million. I need to pay a bunch of Russian escorts to start saying far right politics.
Basically, what's his face did? And not Andrew. Why not Andrew Tate? I mean, that's what he essentially did. He bought a bunch of low class, attractive, but whorish women to promote his sort of like lifestyle.
Well, he's also a sex trafficker.
Of course, that too as well. But
I mean, I don't think he's half black. I think he's half something else.
Do you remember? Well, he is a three-way mix, if you know what I mean.
Gypsy.
Do you So there was this guy. He wore like a gas mask that had these LEDs in them that they'd go back and I think like Zikamadont or whatever.
Oh, that guy was hilarious.
Yeah, and he was on like BitChute for a while. And again, he was like super pro Ukraine, so I was kind of like, okay, whatever. But like at one point, I think he was in Ukraine, and he had a bunch of Ukrainian women like behind him, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like sleazy. But I mean, that's essentially what he was trying to do too.
I love the comment out. That was hilarious.
Is he still around?
I don't know. There was also this other guy, Taz Bitters. Like BitChute before it became filled with boomer retarded Q stuff had the funniest people on. Like the Taz Bitters on like how to he was just like this right wing guy. He's like, here's how to just be a scumbag to people you hate. Like how to destroy people's like auto cars without them noticing. How to destroy people's businesses who fucked you. I'm like, this guy's hilarious.
Jeez. Is BitChute even like much of a thing anymore?
It is, but like it's just like they need to really deal with the fucking boomers fucking up every tag with the retarded Q shit.
Well, that's basically Gab. I mean, less of the Q stuff from what I see, but like I don't. Well, even like X now or Twitter or whatever you want to call it, it's so insufferable being there because it's like, especially for me, because it's our election, I'm getting fed a lot of like election stuff. And it's like, man, like I hate all you people. And the things they say is just so like asinine. Anyway, it's very frustrating to,
I mean, all I know is my country's tariffing the shit out of Canada, and that's hilarious.
Well, we weren't given any new tariffs. The whole big Liberation Day didn't affect us, Mexico, or Russia at all. Like people are like saying, like, "Oh, why didn't America tariff Russia?" It's because you already have like 50 billion tariffs on them. You don't need to.
We don't really buy anything off Russia.
No, and same with Canada and Mexico. We've always been tariffs, so like, what no point.
I mean, I love when people say this is affecting the stock market, and I'm like, motherfuckers, do you think anybody owns fucking stocks? Like, ooh, boomers! Oh my god, not the boomers.
Well, and that's kind of what I've been seeing too, as well. It's like,
But do you know who that's really fucking?
Who?
The hedge funds. It's really fucking them up because all the margin, they have all the huge margin calls, and all the short selling isn't working anymore because market's too chaotic.
I mean, honestly, like as I said, right? If I was American, I'd be very supportive of Trump, and like and for what he's doing for America, I am supportive of Trump too in that respect. I think it's a good thing. I think it's good that he's going to like adjust the economy, and he's going to try to promote America. Like one of the things that people are always saying is like, oh, well, you realize that tariffs are a tax on your own people. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's true, right? But the whole point of a tariff is to incentivize the purchase of domestic goods. So if you see like, okay, American strawberries are like $3, and you see, Mexican strawberries are like $6, you buy the American.
That's the one thing that I laugh at everyone about. Most 99% of agricultural products are grown in the U.S. We don't really import agricultural products besides like avocados,
mangoes, a few other things. I mean,
and coffee. That's it. Like America is the largest export. Like if agricultural products are going up, that's just because people are choosing to price gouge you, which is illegal. And
right. Well, can America grow coffee like in one of the more like drier states or?
Like there's been experiments in Texas to do so. Florida kind of has it.
So it's like it's experimental then. It's not like
Well,
practical.
there is some that's grown in I think Hawaii, but like you need like tropical environment. In America, we sit like our lowest point sits right below the tropics line, and like coffee groves or it's or like
just take the Panama Canal and Panama, and then you can grow coffee in Panama. You know, there you go, domestic coffee.
Yeah, but then we have to deal with the Panamanians.
Well, you know, I don't know if you know this, but Panama is a really narrow strip of land, and with little effort, you can just push the Panamanians into the sea.
That is true. That is true.
I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm sure the Panamanians are
lovely. One of the things
I'm sure the Panamanians are lovely people. I'm only kidding. I love you, Panama. I will die for Panamanian independence.
I won't. No. Panamanians have been dealing with China. I do not know why we even let Panama exist. We should have taken it when we built the canal.
Well, why do you hate China? Like, give me the I don't know your take on it. It's just because they're trying to compete with America economically. Like, what do you foresee?
Well, they'll compete with America. They're one of the biggest pushers of DEI, just so they can bankrupt companies.
Well, yeah, but
they're communists.
Well, one thing too. Well, arguably whether they're communist or not, but like at this point, right? If I was against America, right, I would push DEI too. Because you go to China itself, they don't have the gay stuff, they don't have the trans stuff. They just use it as a way to kind of like weaken America.
Well, it's very Jewish, and I don't believe in fighting in that sort of way. It's a very Jewish way of fighting.
I mean, that's fair, but that's kind of
like if I was in charge of the U.S., the first thing that would happen is the Three Gorges Dam would be exploded by the CIA. Like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, China. Very sorry to hear that someone blew that up.
Well, I guess like my hope is that with America pulling back from U.S. aid and all this kind of like soft power stuff too in this influence campaign, I don't know, like on one way, right, a return to kind of hard power politics is more transparent, it's more honest, and it's better in that respect. All this like niggling around with, you know, influence and promoting this and that kind of overseas, like
it doesn't even work.
Well, I mean, it hasn't worked for, like, when America did it, right? When America was trying to promote LGBT and women's studies in Afghanistan, it didn't work, obviously, because they're not, those people are never going to accept that. But like when the Chinese do it against America, because they do have a more kind of liberal and libertine culture, it can take more of a hook there, so they can kind of exploit that weakness.
No, here's the whole thing: is America's soft power used to work because we used to do things. We used to push people in power who were just like, hey, we're supporting your push of power. We don't care what you do.
Well, no. What America and what you should do if you're doing soft power is that, okay, you push a nation or a people where they kind of already want to go, where there's kind of an inclination already, and you like lend your support to that. But in that, you kind of
that's what we're doing in the 70s and 80s and 90s. That was our like Saddam was our guy.
Yeah, and then after the Cold War and when America became the hegemon, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, we have all this influence. What are we going to do? Okay, well, let's try to, you know, recreate Western Europe and the world in our image. So let's promote liberal democracy. Let's promote multiracialism because they know their kind of like agenda. Right, the whole
no one ever voted on that.
But the whole wokeness stuff, it came about because of
Soviet influence mutating into its own ideology.
It doesn't matter. I don't care where it originated from. It became like an indelible part of American like export. At least
the Russians still do that shit. Like Russia today still does that shit. Like look at Russia today in the English speaking world and saying,
well, what else would you do if you had an enemy?
Well,
yes, I'm going to promote like degeneracy and horrible things to my enemy nation.
Then they can't get all bent out of shape when we say, okay, well, we have more advanced weapon systems. We're going to send them to people on your border.
Yeah, and they'll like invade them and take them over. It's like well, how do you expect countries to act if countries have interests and if their interests are mutually exclusive? Like since the advent of nuclear warfare, right? The large powers are trying to basically get what they want without having to resort to actual boots on the ground war. Because if there's boots on the ground war, there's the danger perceived or whatever
Well, nuclear
that it
power
could
is
go
highly
nuclear.
exaggerated, anyways. A lot of what people see in nuclear films is exaggerated.
Which
Like
I, which I,
most of
which
the,
I, which I agree. The
like
Dark Age
most of,
theory.
like if you have like 40 or 50 days of food, 6 days of food, after 6 days, a lot of the radiation, it's not like not threatening, but a lot of the background radiation goes back down very dramatically. Like
Then why didn't you guys just nuke the Soviets out of existence in the 80s and
because
get done with it?
because there was a bunch of communists in our media pretending that we would lose. I would have fully clicked the button. I would have fully clicked the button in 19 during the what was that standoff during in Berlin with the tanks? 1950? It's like 1958. I would have
I
fully
mean,
said.
I
I
mean,
said. I
I
would
get what you're
fully.
saying, but it's like even if nuclear war doesn't end the world, which I don't think it would, I mean, it's still like devastating. It is. It can still
No,
be
no, no.
civilizationally ending.
Yeah, for the third world, I am a full I am a reactionary Posadist. I'm unironically a reactionary
Well, I
Posadist.
don't know. I don't know who Passad was.
Posadism is basically Posadists believed Posad was this Trotskyite who believed it to fully destroy.
Oh, to bring about communism, we had to burn the old world.
Yeah, I mean, he also aliens are real, and you can psychically communicate with dolphins, and aliens are real, and they are communists. I'm like, absolutely. I'd be honest. This guy sounds like if this guy was still alive today, he would have the greatest podcast. I'd listen just to hear his nonsensical ramblings.
um, Neither here nor there. I mean, I guess my point is that in the modern kind of era, there seems to be a reticence to actually engage in direct hard power competition. Right? We
Because
don't want to have
because
America go against
because
Russia.
people are afraid of the N word, nuclear war. I'm not.
Sure, well, just because you aren't, our leaders and the Russian leaders, and to a degree the Chinese leaders seem that they seem at least hesitant. They seem to be unwilling to kind of open that can of worms, right?
Uh,
And even if it doesn't, and I don't think nuclear weapons would end the world and destroy all life on Earth and blah blah blah. Like humanity would survive, it'd be fine. But it would destroy the state. It would be devastating, and it's not something we kind of want to go into.
First off, we started getting close to that. I need to go get myself a German Shepherd.
Is that the boy and his dog reference, or
Well, yeah. I mean,
I've never seen it. I just know it
it's a
from.
great movie. It's a great movie, and Fallout completely stole. Fallout really is just a conglomeration of stolen ideas from 1990s and 1980s sci-fi novels and post-apocalyptic things.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with combining ideas, but
Anyways, the point is the world powers don't want to play the nuclear game, and
why not?
to avoid that, well, it doesn't matter why they don't want to do it or not. The point is they don't. So they
Because they're
use things like
pussies.
sure. Well, then America's just as
Well,
but it doesn't matter. The point is, we're trying to avoid nuclear war, all of the powers. So they use things like soft power, influence,
proxy conflicts.
subterfuge, proxy, sure, and they use the whole shebang, right? And if I was like, when it gets to great power politics, it's amoral. It doesn't really matter what you do as long as your interests are fulfilled. So it makes sense that Russia and China and whomever else would promote like degeneracy in America because that's how you weaken and
Well,
destroy
they've been doing
an
that.
adversary.
But people are blaming the
And
U.S. for these things, even though we didn't create them. They
no,
were
no,
all
no.
created by.
And
No,
that's why America does the same thing in other countries too as well. That's why America promotes multiculturalism and DEI stuff.
no.
They don't do it now as much, but I mean, it's again for that time they were still using it to weaken,
no. In the '90s, our big thing was democracy.
which, as we know, weakens a nation.
Well, no, we. Here's the thing, nation. If I was president, the first thing I would do is build a lot. There would be so many bunkers, so many bunkers, the best bunkers. Like, I'm not afraid of nuclear war. They have bad missiles, or we have the best missiles. we're going to destroy Russia and a nuclear hellfire. Our people can be safe in our beautiful vaults, big beautiful vaults.
You don't need the proles. The proles are interchangeable.
Ah, the C Nation. Well, Nation. These gonna be white, Nation. The one thing I always say about Fallout, the only unrealistic thing about Fallout is that people aren't racist enough in that game. Like if anti-communism was a much stronger force, people in Fallout should straight up just say, if your character's black, shut it, darky.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
But you forget, like, America's been pushing, like, the whole nines is all the race blind stuff. Oh no, black people are just the same as you. There's a black person in every ad or in every sitcom, and he's just like the white guy, and
Yeah, Hollywood has always been filled with degenerates, and everyone's always hated them.
Well, most Americans don't hate Hollywood. Hollywood. That's why Hollywood's like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Well, yeah, but maybe other countries should try developing their own domestic films.
Bollywood, baby! Look at all the Indian films. It's great.
Nah, some of them are all right.
Oh, please. I mean, I guess probably. I mean, Japan has its cultural exports, both in animation and live action, so it's not just anime. And Canada has a film industry. I mean, mostly films that we only see, but whatever, they're still fine.
Like, what are some great Canadian films that we're missing out on?
I mean, nothing. They're usually like tied to Canadian history. There's one Quebecois film that was about like a farmer in the north and how he survived. Like, it's kind of like, again, like, it would have no
Call of the Wild.
No, there's no Indians in it.
That just sounds like a Jack London novel.
Well, it doesn't matter. Oh, it's not like whatever. Like,
why is everything? Why is all of your films just sound like things America wrote about in the 1920s with Alaska?
I don't know. Probably because we shared similar struggles conquering the North.
Probably. I feel like the Canada's entire culture is just being slightly colder America.
No, we're loyalist, and we actually like maintain the traditions and values of Europe, whereas you rebelled against them to do your own thing.
You do, Nation, we have this argument like every podcast, but every single one of America's values are not outside of Europe. Like, our ideas are based on Roman republicanism.
You took all Europe's bad ideas and decided to base your entire identity around them.
What's wrong with the idea of the citizen soldier? And America worked perfectly fine.
Because you shouldn't have citizens. Citizens implies level of self-determination amongst the proles. I don't think the average person should have any political say whatsoever.
The average person didn't. Like, the majority of people couldn't vote. You had to be white. You had to be a man. You had to own land.
So you don't have a citizen soldier. You're juxtaposing ideas that came around in the 60s, or these kind of idealized views of America that came in the 80s, and applying that historically. So if you're you eschewed like the best parts of tradition, heritage, you guys eschewed. You eschewed slavery, for example. I wrote an entire article defending slavery as an institution.
Well, look, here's the whole thing. Lincoln cheated to win that election. Lincoln also barely won that war, and the vast majority of people were fighting to preserve the republic, not to end slavery.
I don't think. I fundamentally disagree with America's founding values and its principles. I don't believe.
Then you disagree with the entire concept of Northern European law structure, because that's
I do. I hate American law. I think it's the worst thing ever invented.
Okay, we didn't invent it though. The English did.
The British legal systems are vastly different from the American legal system.
Yes, they diverge. We used we created a different model, but again,
I would say the branch closest to the root is more representative of what came before than the one that severed itself.
But no, because Britain used to have a very similar legal system to America. We based ours more on constitutional law in the Roman Republic, and Britain based itself
on their constitutional law,
which sucks. Their constitutional law doesn't protect shit.
Most of their well, what do you want to protect?
I don't know, the right to own guns, the right to say what you want. Like, I can literally go out.
I
in
don't
my
believe I
town
don't
with
believe in
this.
freedom of speech. I believe that a
Well,
lot of things that people should say should get them incarcerated or forced into labor or imprisoned.
like what?
I don't know. I mean, like, if we lived in serious countries, the things that we say should get us arrested, and I see no problem with that. Like, like every country, every state, every institution has had these blasphemy laws, these certain third rails that you can't.
America had blasphemy laws. Like freedom of speech was never covered blasphemy, pornography, or any of that things. It was meant to the
And yet,
political speech.
all those things were yeah. Well, there's certain political things that should be impermissible. Sedition, for example, however you define
That
that.
was also never protected.
Then
Sedition
what?
is
Then
still
what?
not protected.
Okay, then what do you define that? Then what free speech are you talking about then? Then
Hmm?
what? Then what's your vaunted free speech you're trying to defend?
The original concept as envisioned by the founders. You have a right to petition your government. You have a right to peacefully assemble. But again, sedition is not freedom of
You could
speech.
always petition the king. You could always write to the king.
Yes, but like again, the point is like you freedom. You see, yes, all of those things are protected by the king. That's where we get them from. They're not something that the Americans just came up with. A lot of our ideas are not something America came up with. They come from the UK.
Because my thing is the whole concept of freedom of speech undermines the stability of the nation.
It does
Because if
not.
you look at what America look. And
America,
you
most
say it's all Soviet influence, and sure, let's say I grant you that. But look at what they were able to do with their free speech and the things they promoted. And you can't just say, "Oh, well, they should have been shot," or "I disagree," or
they
both.
should be
Like,
shot.
yeah, they sure. But the point is, they were able to have massive deleterious effects on your society.
Here's the thing: you don't have to. Like here's a very simple
You can't
thing.
be a monarchist and an American.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
We'll tell that to Jefferson, not Jefferson. Tell that to Hamilton and several other founding fathers and the Decembrists.
So, what monarchy did they found?
It didn't
So they're
really
part
work.
of this republic, this aristocratic republic that became a democratic republic. That it's where we are now. And look, Trump's.
Well, yeah, I mean, everyone.
Trump is a monarchical figure.
Jefferson said, like, do not involve ourselves in foreign entanglements. Do not extend the liberty beyond the borders. And every single thing he said to do, not to do, we did, and we ended up in this situation. The founders said exactly what not to do to fuck up the republic, and everyone proceeded to do absolutely every single thing they told us not to do.
Your country was really founded by a bunch of Karens in a boardroom making a country based on European Enlightenment ideals.
We reject most of the American founders have very little nice things to say about democracy, and never consider themselves part of the Enlightenment. Like it's like when people say
and yet their freedom for all and their Declaration of Independence,
freedom for white men of good moral character.
Yeah, well,
the system works, and only white men of good moral character.
I don't dispute that, obviously. But the problem is, once you establish these kinds of values as the central principles of your state, they naturally want to grow and encompass more because that gives the state more power. So it's like, okay, yeah, no, we have these nebulous terms that we know only apply to white people. Like, I agree, right? They were only meant to apply to free white people. However, they're worded in such a way that this state, and that's what Abraham Lincoln did, that we can use that to expand jurisdiction.
Lincoln was a dictator. He was not
some dictators are Tsar Nicholas II, and some are Stalin. Right? Just because someone's a dictator doesn't really mean they're good or not. So it's like these founding principles, like and when you have those in power, they can use those principles to justify anything.
You can use any principle to justify anything.
That's why you don't build a state based on principles.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, no states built on principles
except America, the Constitution.
America was built on race.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
The Constitution. Then throw out the Constitution. If it's just about race, then the Constitution shouldn't matter.
Oh, do you know what pluribus unum means?
From many one.
Yes, from many different European ethnic groups comes one overall arching identity. Literally, it's literally every single founding father said it in all their personal writings. This is a white country.
It doesn't matter what the founding fathers say. Those who rule America, even Trump himself, differ.
It doesn't matter what they say. They can say whatever they want. Like I could interpret scripture in such a way that that communism is a viable thing. It doesn't make what I'm saying correct. It makes me being a subversive little dick weasel.
Which is why basing your country on the sodding constitution and these little documents held up as sacrosanct are meaningless, because whoever's in power can turn them to be whatever they want.
Well, you could do the same thing with anything. That's the whole thing about being a subversive little pill pulling little.
Exactly, but America was founded on the Constitution. And yes, you have the originalists who interpret it more or less justly. Although your best originalist is I forget his name. He's like the black judge, so I don't think he's going to be based on like racial issues.
He is actually.
So really, he wants to bring back segregation.
Yep.
Well, that's surprising. Well, good for him then.
Yeah, Thomas. People think Thomas wouldn't be like. Thomas is basically Uncle.
Get back in the field, nigga.
But that's because Thomas was at the top of his class and realizes that all these things don't actually help any black people in America whatsoever.
Well, and you know what? Hey, like I have no problem like acknowledging that. Yeah, there are probably plenty. I mean, Tommy Sotomayor was the guy I followed for a while, and he basically said the same things, not to that kind of level, but he kind of recognized the faults and sort of black culture and inclinations, and he proposed certain ways of solving them.
If you actually want to be honest about immigration, the people immigration fucks over the most is actually the poorest members of society, the uneducated, because those are the jobs that the illegals take first. And in the 60s, who was keeping all those jobs?
Coons. Yeah, the blacks. Yeah. But anyways, like the point is though, right? It's that when you literally found your so the British Constitution, right? Like the greatest mistake Canada ever did was to make a constitution, because we took the natural constitution we had from Britain and our domestic laws.
The greatest constitution, the greatest mistake you ever made was adopting that god awful flag.
I think the Constitution predated the flag. Well, whatever. It doesn't. Well, okay. I hate the flag. I hate the flag. I hate the Constitution. I hate the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But Lord knows if I ever get arrested, I'm going to use that fifth right to.
Well, if you ever get arrested, but please tell me, like, if you tell me ahead of time so we can live stream it.
Oh yeah, because they're gonna give me my phone when I get arrested.
Well, no, like they're gonna come to the door and be like, "Can we talk to you?" And then you're gonna be like, "Am I under arrest?" You're like, "Hold on, let me get my code." Then you turn on the live stream, and then they'll get all the
I don't know if my phone can do live stream. I think technically it might be able to, but it's an e-ink phone.
Oh yeah. Sadly, you can't get Huawei because they're good phones. They're great phones, really.
I bought my sister a Hawaii phone.
I thought they're banned.
Yeah, well, they're not banned if you know where to find them.
Oh, wait, I forgot you guys are a colony of China.
No, they're banned in Canada, too. I had to go out of my way to kind of find one.
You have a sister?
Yes. She's older than me and married, so you're out of luck.
Uh-huh.
And she's not based.
They should. How did you know I was going to ask that question?
No, I've
you
done
know me very well.
For 27 years.
What?
I said I've done this show with you for like 27 years.
It's not been that long. It's been like 4 or 5.
I know. I'm just.
You mean probably we're gonna still be doing the show in 27 years, probably.
I don't know if the internet still exists.
Well, yeah. If we haven't been, if we haven't ended in World War III over Taiwan?
What a waste that would be.
Yeah.
Nixon recognized Taiwan as part of China.
Yeah, China's Nixon. That made sense at the time.
Sorry, say that again. My computer lagged out.
That made sense at the time.
I got it.
Yeah. So.
Do you have to leave at 5? Sorry.
What?
Did you have an appointment at 5? You said, or?
Yeah, I got an appointment at 5. Well, no, I gotta go. I gotta go play Only War at 5:30. I mean, I don't have to. I just want to.
What game is it?
Only War. It's kind of like Warhammer or D&D.
I guess is this like Raid Shadow Legends or?
No. It's like done. I don't really play many. I don't really play I mean, I play like Marvel Rivals with like my alcoholic friend who lives in Rhode Island.
You know what's funny? I type in only to like find your game, and the first thing that pops up is OnlyFans.
No, it's Only War.
No, I get that, but like in my browser, I type in
well,
only.
you as a married man should not be on OnlyFans.
No,
Shame,
it's
shame.
haha. No, but it's funny because like this is a new install. It's like only like maybe a month old,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
mean,
on my main computer. But
disgusting, really, isn't it?
that it's promoting that, yeah, that's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, it's like what's funny?
So
I
only one.
remember.
It's a Warhammer RPG. Then I see.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
I gotta because it got moved to Saturday because my DM was sick last Sunday. It's usually Sunday.
I used to play D&D with a group of friends every Saturday, and then that got.
What you start screaming the N word at people?
No, they don't. They all know I say nigger. It's okay.
Oh,
I mean, most of my friends either know what I'm like or tolerate my idiosyncrasy. So, and it works out.
I really don't have any liberal friends who aren't. I mean, I got my liberal family members. Other than that,
I
not
mean,
really.
I couldn't keep down a liberal friend. Like honestly, like it just wouldn't last. I would accidentally say something or deliberately say something, and
I mean, I got like
be ostracized.
semi-liberal friends, but other than that, not really. I have black friends, but they're all conservative. So
Yeah, no.
they're my niggers. Like what? That's why it's like, what up, my nigger?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I had a friend like that too for a while. He moved away and everything, but my black friend, I used to say my nigga too.
my nigga moved back to Africa.
He moved back. He had to. Yeah, I love him. He's the best. He's great, but he had to go back. They all have to go back. Nah, he's doing well. Last I checked, so good for him. But
yeah, you'd be surprised on how many non-white friends I have.
I mean, that's the meme on the far right, isn't it?
What? You say you're a white supremacist, but your friend group looks like that. It's like that's ironic because I do actually have an Asian friend I jam with. Me and my friend group would go over his house and jam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I don't know. It's like when you're kind of racially conscious and aware of like the biology and such, it makes having like relationships with non-white people
it
makes it easier because
it
like
makes everything easier. Like, cause it like being racist just makes life so much easier. Cause like you don't like when all your friends are just as racist as you are, you don't have to watch what you say. Like I was hanging out with my friend. He's like, oh, it's like I'm kind of tired. It's like it's 12 in the afternoon. Stop being a racial stereotype because you're Hispanic.
yeah, it's just kind of like like you can see how they act and everything, and you can like adjust yourself accordingly because you know what to expect from them basically if you're racially conscious, and they respect that and they appreciate that.
I mean,
So
I did punch one guy in the face for calling my black friend a nigger. It's like he's like, they're like, but you say that. It's like, yeah, but I'm friends with him. You're being rude.
right, yeah, that's all it's about, decor. I mean, that's the neat thing about American, like Thomas 777. Like he's got black friends, and he walks around with like his his Stoffel ring, his iron cross around his neck,
What like
no,
the
with his like clan membership badge and all this stuff, right? And then he's like on a podcast like two black guys talking about like Chicago, and it's like if you're honest and upfront and just not a twat to people, they respect that. They're reciprocal,
well,
They
when
reciprocate.
I walk around like Philadelphia, and because I'm back in Philly for some reason,
Don't dox
and
yourself. No, I'm
well,
gonna find
wow,
you.
you're gonna find me in a city of like 2 million people.
Oh, I'm sure I could find you.
You're gonna find me. None of my addresses are updated. I don't update shit, so you're probably gonna find the
I'll
wrong
hire
address.
I'll hire Thomas Magnum to find you.
Thomas Mang, I'm gonna hire him to find me.
Yeah.
Huh?
So that's an
I
old
don't know what the fuck
reference.
we've been talking about with
That's
this
an
pod.
old reference. Ask your parents or
What Magnum PI?
yeah.
Magnum PI is from like the 80s and 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
My parents grew up in like the 60s. You're thinking Matlock.
See, I've never seen Matlock.
Matlock's pretty good.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. So is Magnum PI.
I mean, I like Magnum PI. Thomas Magnum's Tom Selleck and his mustache.
Tom Selleck, and Tom Selleck is a very sexy man.
Okay, I won't go that far. He's really based though, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Tom Selleck said Tom Selleck was what a man's man. Those not actors like that anymore. Those
Yeah.
they don't. There's no actors like Tom Selleck anymore. It's just a bunch of prissy homosexual men. In the 80s, at least you had like male actors who were men.
Well, you know what's funny? Like in that time, you see a lot of older actors too. It's not like nowadays. It's always like 20 somethings, right? It's always like younger, younger, younger. But back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you'd have like shows with like middle aged or like I don't know, older men.
Well, yeah, I mean, those were attractive men because those were shows written by men for
Well,
men.
what was it? I don't even like. Was just like I guess they valued age more, and I don't know. It's kind of
Well, they
weird.
can actually
But
act, and they didn't
yeah,
have sex with someone to get their part. Like Tom Selleck can actually act, and a lot of these guys were actually good actors.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
what's his name? Sean Bean. Uh, he's much better in like what is it? Sharp. That's a great series. There's not a lot of budget with Sharp, but they simulate the Napoleonic War with just good acting. It's a great show.
Have you seen that new show? What's it called? Not Inception, not Serenity. It's like Severance. Yeah, that one. Have you seen that?
No, I don't really watch. I watch
No.
anime, read books. I've been reading. What am I reading? Let me figure out what the last.
Well,
The
it's because everyone's talking about it. I'm like wondering if I should, hit up the old Pirate Bay and check it out. But I don't know. Like,
I mean, I just been reading Warhammer books, and I'm gonna be honest. I really thought I'd hate like the Cadia series with because the main character is a female. I was like, yeah, it's weird. Like Warhammer's like main characters that have like female representation. They're not like you think like this, oh, it's a black woman. It's like no, she's a pious member of the ecclesiarchy who constantly smacks people down when they shit talk the emperor. I'm like, I don't get what you're doing here, but you you're not trying you're making the female character more conservative than the male characters. Like
yeah,
they're all
well, and Warhammer's a series where it's like, yeah, you can kind of pause it up if you want to, but I feel like it's harder. It has more kind of inbuilt guardrails to prevent it from going off the rails that way. So
well,
if
yeah.
you do want to have a female character for say like diversity reasons, the kind of female character that would exist in that universe would have to be kind of a particular way. So
Yeah, so that's all I've been finishing reading For My Legionnaires and Katie and Anna, which is pretty good actually. Katie and Anna is pretty good.
that's
I
a
mean,
heck of a combo to have going.
oh, it's not really. I mean, I feel like you could make like a Caggiano-esque character. You could totally like if I owned GW, there would totally be a regiment based off the Iron Guard. Not even like it wouldn't even be subtle. It would straight up just be called the Iron Guard.
I mean,
Or
there
it's
are the Iron Hands.
there already is the Morty and Iron Guard. Well, that's
Iron Hand,
Morty
yeah.
and Iron Guard. It'd just be the Iron Guard, and they would just
Right.
straight up have straight up World War II era uniforms. But I'm gonna go because I gotta go